Most tutorials skip this one step. They treat Openbb like a quick data grab instead of a component in a production pipeline. That approach makes your code brittle, hides failure modes, and costs you time when a data feed changes. You need to think in terms of contracts, retries, and observability from day one. Wrap calls so you can mock them in tests, validate responses so bad data never sneaks into your models, and cache answers where hits are expensive or rate limits bite. These patterns keep your pipeline stable and make incidents diagnosable instead of mysterious. A common mistake is trusting defaults and pushing the tool straight into production without layered defensive coding. Do it right and you get reproducible backtests and predictable failures. Next, I'll show the concrete wrapper pattern I use to enforce all of this without blocking performance. But there is a catch most people miss.
Most tutorials skip this one step. They assume your environment is already tidy and secure. Before you type a single line, have a modern Python 3 interpreter, a disposable virtual environment, a project-level requirements or lock file, basic Git fluency, and a plan for secret management. Use virtualenv or venv so you avoid breaking system packages and keep dependencies isolated. That prevents the classic, "it works on my machine" problem from reaching production. Pin package versions and requirements. TXT or a lock file to get deterministic builds and predictable CI behavior, which saves you from debugging tiny version drift issues later. Keep API keys out of source, and use environment variables or a secrets manager so you can rotate and audit credentials without rewriting history. Run the test suite locally and in CI with the same interpreter and pinned deps, because tests catch integration and compatibility issues early. Also verify network access and expected rate limits before deployment to avoid runtime surprises. Next, we'll set up a reproducible environment and configure secrets so you won't leak keys. There is one pitfall most people miss. Most tutorials skip this one step. Explain why the library organizes data the way it does. Openbb centralizes data access behind a small, consistent API so your code talks to one interface instead of a dozen vendor formats. That matters because normalizing into a common pandas-like table makes downstream analytics predictable and fast to test. It uses retries and backoff to absorb transient API failures, which prevents brittle production jobs that stop on the first network hiccup. It also caches responses to avoid repeating expensive or rate-limited calls, so you don't blow past quotas during development. The practical win is consistency. You write one parser, and it works across sources, instead of handling one-off edge cases per provider. Newcomers often make the mistake of calling remote endpoints directly in business logic, which couples code to responses and breaks when schemas change. Next, I will show how that design maps to a concrete request pipeline and the one detail that breaks almost every naive integration. But there is a catch most people miss.
Most summaries skip the operational angle. Why Openbb matters when you ship real systems. Openbb is an open-source investment research terminal that unifies data access, analysis tools, and visualizations under one Python-first framework source. https://github.com/openbb-finance/openbb. That matters because a single, consistent API cuts integration bugs and speeds onboarding for new engineers. Architect for modularity, not monoliths. Split data ingestion, transformation, and presentation into small, testable modules so you can swap providers without a system rewrite. Use caching to avoid repeated API calls and save on rate limits and costs. Openbb already uses caching patterns for this purpose source. https://github.com/openbb-finance/openbb. Prefer async I/O for network-heavy tasks to keep throughput high and avoid blocking worker threads. Add type hints and lightweight contracts to catch schema drift early. These patterns reduce downtime, simplify testing, and make audits straightforward. The logical next step is to fork the Openbb repo, clone it, run the example notebook, and build a small plugin that adds one real